You are intimidated. You are intimidated. Those are the words that came at me about a month ago when I was having a conversation with someone. And to be honest, I was asking questions. And this person's response to me was, "Hey, Nemo, I don't know if you know this, but you are intimidated." And it was really interesting because in that moment, something happened for me. It happened a month ago. I'm still carrying this story around. Part of the reason why I'm just deciding to come out here and share it. Because in that moment, it hit on something. It hit on something that I hadn't realized, but for 30 plus years, I had been trying to hide, trying to make sure that other people didn't know, and trying to make sure that it didn't really come out. You see, I've grown up with a fear of being alone. I got into the gifted program when I was in first grade and ended up moving out of the neighborhood school to another school that was nearby. Now, where I grew up was right outside of Camden, New Jersey. I grew up about 3 blocks away, literally over the railroad tracks. And coming from a first-generation African parents from Ghana, I was really African American. What that meant for me growing up meant that I wasn't black, I wasn't American, and I wasn't African. It was this nice, interesting little mix there, right? And that led me to a place where, when my parents were off at work, they gave great guidelines that helped me get to this place in life. But it was like, hey, you see the kids on the street that might be walking around with their underwear showing out there? You're not like them. That's not you. On the other token, it's like, you see the people that you see on TV, you're also not like them. Like, don't be bringing in, really what they said is, don't be bringing in none of that nonsense that you're seeing on TV into our house. And when I got into the gifted program, it was actually a really great blessing, but it ended up with me switching the groups of people that I was around on a regular basis. And these are things that I'm bringing up and coming to terms with now as an adult. But it took me out of a place where I was amongst other people that I knew and entered into a program where, I went to a different school, different people had different friends, and people were really, how do I say it? I was the minority. In that class. It wasn't until 4th grade that there was another black person that joined me in that program. And what that brought up for me was a number of different things. But over the years, I think what it gave me was a chance to see the world from a different perspective, to be a part of a different side of the world as myself. And it gave me an opportunity to really just continue moving forward, but also learn, how do I have to be in this world? How do I have to be to make sure that I'm good, and how to make sure that other people around me feel good? And what came up was, oh, hold on. Over time, I learned that there's people are intimidated by people who look like me. People are intimidated by the way that by not knowing me. And I would see it happen when I was walking down the streets. I would see people a block away start moving to the other side of the sidewalk because they saw me. And it wasn't like they just moved. And it was like, we have way more time. There's no reason for you to need to shift your place right now unless you were feeling uncomfortable. I would see it, and I saw and I still see it, but when someone's walking down the sidewalk with their partner, and their partner kind of cuddles in close to them, but they're not looking at them longingly like, oh my, I'm so happy, I want to just get closer to you. They're looking at me, and they're subconsciously taking a step closer in to their partner. And when someone said to me, you are intimidated, it brought up something that I just hadn't realized. I hadn't realized that I had actually really been spending a good portion of my life making sure that no one felt that about me. Because if I was intimidated, then other people wouldn't want to get to know me. I would be alone. And if you know anything about me, my number one fear is being alone. Or at least it was. I'm playing with that right now, trying to understand, is that really still the case for me or not? But it really was a very real thing for me growing up. And if I was intimidating to people, then they wouldn't want to be around me. And I would have to, if I was going to get into their world, I would have to do all the work. I would have to be the person that came up to them. I would have to go ahead and start the conversations and so on and so forth. And if you know me, you know that's actually something that I do. I actually walk into any group and I'm able to engage in that conversation. Well, it's because if I didn't, I felt like I was going to be alone. And the intimidating part came out from the standpoint of, how do I learn how to make other people feel comfortable around me? How do I make sure that they know from far away that I'm not threatening, I'm not aggressive, I'm not an angry black male, I'm just a person. Some of the things you see that with my smile. In the conversation where I was told that I was intimidated, the person, it had kind of come up because I had said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I was just eating some soggy French fries," and I was like, "I'm sorry. Sometimes my joy apparently shows up at 4 levels higher than what I'm actually experiencing in any given moment." And I realized that actually happens to be true because I needed to convey from 30 feet away that I am a safe person. That not only am I safe, but I am welcoming and I'm approachable. Otherwise, I would have spent my entire life trying to enter other people's worlds. The thing about this here, this happened a month ago, and I'll let you know when it took place. I was fortunate enough to be in a place where I can actually go to a colleague and have a real honest conversation with her. We talked about a number of different things, and one of the things that she brought up was like, "Dude, that's not on you. It's not. It has everything to do with that person. That's their experience of you." And I'm sharing that right now because in case anyone else is feeling a feeling of being too much, may not be too intimidating. I hear it on the other side of being too soft, too dominant, too aggressive, or feeling that others might think that on either one extreme or the other, either being too pliable or being way too rigid. I want to put that out there where it's just like, all right, it's not on you, it's on other people's experiences of you. But at the same time, like while I was still in integrity with myself, I was good with what that person said. I knew I needed to work through it because that was when he said it. I realized that it was the thing that I've been avoiding, the thing that I didn't want anyone else to know. The one thing I didn't want anyone else to feel. I don't want to feel intimidated. I don't want to be pushing people away because most people can't handle when I bring it up to that level. And so I was going through my process of trying to figure this out. And while I wasn't distraught from it, I did know that I needed to do some things to really understand this better. And so I brought it up. And as I do here, you see that I share my journey very openly and candidly so I can really work on it. And we went out to dinner and I was talking to someone. I was telling him about the story that had just unfolded. And he was like, and I love this here. He looked me in the face and he said, "Nemo, you are intimidated. Like, what's going on? Of course you are intimidated. Even your joy is intimidating." And 2 things happen. Firstly, I think just because of who this person was and how he showed up in the world, he has a huge personality. It takes a lot to be in a room with him. It's really a fun thing. I'm like, oh wow, I have a lot of room to just be because of how much he shows up. For that person to see me and still say to my face, "You are intimidated. That's just what you just have it." It really lit something up in my mind. What lit it up was, hold on, this thing that I spend and expend a lot of energy toward really creating an image around it, or an image that doesn't necessarily contain it in it. This thing that I spend all this energy trying to make sure I don't come off as being intimidating to others is something that no matter what I do shows up anyway. And really just being able to hear that allowed me to embrace it from a different place. I now come out into the world. It's been a month here and I've been playing with this here, playing with different things, playing with allowing anger in. Because that's something that would not be allowed. Nemo angry, many of you haven't seen it. I experience it. Part of the reason why I started enjoyment is because I was angry at the fact that we had institutionalized racism and I didn't know. And I'm like, well, there has to be another way to go about this. This didn't come because one day I was like, oh yes, I would love to change the world. It was like, hold on, are you kidding me? I'm 30 years old and I'm really just seeing this? Like, that came from a place of anger, and that's okay. What I do is I bring together people around joy. Actually, what I do is I bring people around coming in and showing up as they truly are and belonging to themselves. And I feel I needed to share this story here because it's been working on me. It's been something that it's something that is important to me, and quite frankly, I'm allowing myself to be intimidated now. I'm allowing myself to not go into a conversation just smiling, not just entering in a room and being like, "Hello, world." Although I can, it's now I have this flexibility, I have this freedom to show up as a more whole person, to come in serious, to come in angry. And like, it might sound really simple here, but for a long time, that didn't feel like that was available to me. And for a long time, it felt like, Nemo, thank you for sharing your energy with me. When you're here, we need your energy. You know, you light up our room. Like, it's like, okay, yeah, that takes work. Okay, I'll be that person. I'll be that person. Because I want you to like me. I want to be accepted by you. I want to be approved. And now, with this realization, this thing that I've been running away from, this thing of being intimidating, this thing of intimidating others, the fact that it's always been there and will continue to be a part of who I am, it just allowed me to really say, hold on, wait a minute. I am intimidated. And if you want me to be around you, that needs to have a place too. Even my joy is intimidated. So I'm going to end this story here from my own personal journey, but I also want to reflect a little bit on us. Like, let's discover together here. What's in your life right now? That thing that you might have been hiding around, that thing that you might be using either consciously or unconsciously, trying to protect yourself from other people knowing. What's that thing that you do, or the way that the part of you that you feel that if people saw this here, they wouldn't accept you. If people saw, they would run away, or they would treat you drastically differently. And right now, I just want to like just allow for that to come up and see what shows up for you in your mind. I didn't come in knowing that I was afraid that people would see me as being intimidated. But when it happened, it was just boom, like a lightning bolt. I'm like, this is what I've been avoiding. I finally show up. I finally bring some edge to the mix. I allow my Camden, New Jersey to start showing through. And in the first conversation I have, I am told that I am intimidated. WTF. So raise your own awareness here around that. And then the interesting part about this here, that's really been interesting for me and in people that I've been coaching recently, is this dark side, the dark side of showing up as who we are. The thing that we're looking to avoid is typically something that is A, already showing up for us, and B, the thing that, how do I say it? The thing that we feel other people would want from us. So I'll make this concrete. A lot of times I shy away from teaching directly on Facebook Live or in any of my videos. I just feel like I don't want to prescribe towards you. I don't want to push you away from that perspective. A lot of times when I meet new people, I had tried to find a way to kind of ease them into something, ease them into a conversation, help them to feel comfortable, so on and so forth. And it's because I didn't want to come off as being seen as intimidated. And so I did all these other things, but quite frankly, it was still intimidated. I felt there was another way that I should go about doing it, and it was still happening anyway. Perhaps for you, it might be, or let me just use this here as an example. It's been showing up with my clients around, if they were really allowing themselves to be all of who they were in the workplace, they might be and they allow themselves to express what they wanted in life, to go for what they wanted, to actually stand for and stand up and speak up for what they wanted. They might be seen as pushy, overconfident, dominant, all these different things. That's that dark side of really being who they were. And the interesting part of the conversation is that our conversations typically started out with, hey, I feel that if I'm really going to be heard in my organization, I need to come off as dominant. I need to be aggressive. I need to stand up for everything here and just really push my way through. And And what was interesting here was just this aspect of the things that they felt that they had to transform into, if they just allowed themselves to be themselves, would be natural side effects anyway, and it would come from a more powerful place. So I want to just offer you a bit here in terms of being able to explore something for yourself and see if that thing that you're hiding from, that thing that you have been trying to make sure that other people don't see, what if that's actually the path for you? Right now, just take some space, just raise your awareness to it. Raise your awareness over the next week to see what shows up for you. What is it? What's the thing that you're trying to make sure no one else sees? And then ask yourself, well, what if they did see it? What would that mean for me? And leave it at that. Let me know in the comments if anything comes up for you. Let me know in the comments if you'd like to discuss anything. Let me know in the comments if you've had a moment like this here, or something that you'd like to share. Let me know if you disagree or agree. Generally speaking, I want to continue the conversation. I'm going to keep showing up here. I'm going to keep standing up, and I'm going to keep speaking up. I encourage you to do the same. In fact, I invite you to do the same. It's up to you to say yes or no. Your world needs you. Journey on.